Don't have time.
I mean, just initial reactions. I mean, about the bracket, and then also just getting that number one seed.
Yeah, the number one seed was something that I just think gives credit to our program. It establishes us as one of the very best teams in America. And so it's just a credit to our recognition, which I'm very happy about. But it's just a number, right? We got to the championship game with a number 2 seed last year, so we know number 1 seeds don't guarantee anything.
It's been the first time since 1992. So, I mean, it is, you've done a million things here, but this one was one that, okay, you slayed another dragon, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know, like right now I'm just kind of looking at like this week, and I try to break this tournament into week segments, like these 2 games this week and then the next 2, you just try to break it down like that, because if you look at the overall picture, I think it can be overwhelming, to look at all those teams. But now we have a path and we know what it's going to take.
I know you're not going to be looking too much farther ahead in the first round game, but do you feel like you like having to play the team from the playing game? Does that matter, good, bad, one way or the other?
Well, the only thing is that we don't have as much time to prepare for them, where it's like we don't know which one of those that we're going to be playing. Obviously, it's kind of a flip of the coin, and so you can't spend all your time investing in one team like you would if you knew exactly who you were playing. So that's the only thing.
What do you know about West Virginia and Princeton? Have you crossed any paths watching any other films?
I don't know much about either one of them, and so I'm going to be excited to get down there and start watching some film.
There are a lot of familiar names in this bracket. What were you thinking when you saw?
I was a bit surprised by the Kansas State, just because I've always heard that they don't like you to play against somebody so early that you've already played, and we played them twice already this year. So I was a little bit surprised by that one, but definitely a lot of familiar faces with Colorado in there, and LSU, right? It's in that same one. So a lot of familiar faces, but I think that's okay. That's not a bad thing.
Including Drake.
Including Drake, that's right.
Very
that's
familiar
right.
program for you and Jan especially.
Yeah.
When you look, what went on this last week? How much time did you give them away? Is there a spring break, I guess?
Yeah, it was their spring break, and I gave them quite a bit of time off. I just feel like we were exhausted after last week. We played 3 games in less than 48 hours time. Unheard of. Unsafe, really, in my opinion. They were exhausted. Our staff was exhausted. We took Monday, Tuesday off. We practiced really well Wednesday, Thursday, and I gave them Friday and Saturday off again. I wanted them to have a reset, because today we practiced, and now it's go, and there's going to be no time for breaks. And I think this time of year, having your legs under you is really, really important, and not having injuries happen in practice that could be avoided.
Speaking of those injuries too, can we get an update on Molly, how she's doing? I saw she was not on crutches tonight at least.
Yeah, she's not on crutches, but she's still limping. Not a good sign. I was hoping she'd be further along by now than she is. I'm not saying that she will or won't play this weekend. I don't know, but it's not as good as I was hoping it would be by now.
You talked about playing back to back to back like that in this tournament. How much does that kind of help, though, going into the NCAA tournament, where you said it's just go, go, go until the season's over?
Yeah, now it is, and that's again why I kind of gave them that time off, is because now there are no more breaks. It is go. And so, going into this tournament, I feel like we are prepared as we could be prepared. Playing in that Florida tournament where we played 3 games in 3 days, playing in the Big Ten tournament 3 games in 3 days. That requires so much of them mentally to be able to do that, to flush the last scout, to have the new one come in, and now we'll have an extra day of prep in between, so they'll be ready for it. I think the thing I feel like we're more prepared for is atmospheres. I feel like every game that we've played in this year has been that NCAA atmosphere. It's been an unbelievable crowd. We've had our names circled on everybody's schedule. And so I think that we're prepared just because of what we've went through throughout the year, not just during the Big Ten tournament.
How important is the support around Caitlin just going into the offseason? Or my apologies, into the postseason. How important is it for other players to step up instead of just around her?
You saw that in the Big Ten tournament, right? Like when other people step up, we're really hard to defend. And Caitlin knows that too. It's easier for her if other people step up. So if we want to go a long ways, we're going to have better balance and good balance, like we did last year at the end of the year.
I know you guys have had a lot of faith in Sidonie Smith all year. She hasn't been in the starting lineup, and it's different when you have to be in the starting lineup, and all of a sudden it's the Big Ten tournament. How did you like the way that she handled it and the way that she played?
Like a pro. I thought Sid handled it so well. I mean, it's like, she's on the all-tournament team. Are you kidding? You go from not even getting the 6th player of the year, which you know how I feel about that. I think she deserved it, to being on the all-tournament team. So Sid has been playing really well, confidently. She's strong, she's big, and she can play a couple positions for us, which is nice.
Lisa, when it comes to the seniors, I mean, the common theme I've heard is they just feel like they're playing free. I mean, Gabby mentioned that going into the March. Kate just knows her last time around. Caitlin, after she declared for the WNBA draft. I mean, how important is that to just kind of play free and they just know like it is truly win or go all the time?
Yeah, I don't think you ever want to think that way, because if you're thinking, if I don't win this game, something bad's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen. I just really believe in that power of thought, and that you have to be confident and they have to have no fears. And that's how we won that game against Nebraska. If we were 8 points down with 2.5 minutes and we were worried about losing it, we would have lost that game. But they weren't. They just played without fear for those last 2.5 minutes.